Greetings, Vault citizens. Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome to the Fallout 76 December 11th, 2018 patch notes. This is a huge one here today with over hundreds of fixes, improvements, and new features. So let's jump right on into it. Alright, starting with the header here, our latest patch for Fallout 76 will bring major camp improvements, special respecking, a new display setting for PC, and many new bug fixes to the game. Read on for today's complete patch notes. This is going to be a big one, guys, so buckle up. The download sizes for this update will be approximately 5 gigabytes for consoles and around 3 gigabytes for PC. As mentioned here, we've adjusted the schedule to allow for further testing on consoles versions of the game. PC maintenance is taking place on December 11th, and we are currently planning for console maintenance to begin on Thursday, December 13th. So a little bit later for console users, unfortunately. Here are the patch highlights, everybody. I don't really need to read them out because we're just going to go into further detail down below, but the notable things here to note on are the camp placement improvements, the respecking, push to talk, and field of view, and new resolution support. We'll read further about these going down. So general performance, several improvements have been made to in-game performance stability. The Fallout 76 game client and servers have received additional stability improvements. Okay. Art. Lighting exposure values have been adjusted for exterior environments, allowing them to appear brighter in dark conditions. Balance. Loot. 308 ammo dropped by creatures has been reduced. Players will now receive .308 ammo in stacks of 1 to 5 rather than up to 12 for a single kill. That's kind of interesting because I did notice we get a lot of 308 from super mutants and kills in general, but it's a bit of a nerf overall. Should they be nerfing things like this in terms of balance or in making improvements to the things that are underbalanced? I'm noticing a lot of nerfs rather than improvements in these patch notes. Loot. Super mutants will now drop gunpowder half as often, and the chance for additional loot has been reduced. Caps are guaranteed loot on super mutants until level 16. So again, nerfing the loot and also nerfing the loot up past level 16. Scorched Beast Queen will now land on the ground more often. Well, that's good. I'm kind of done with killing that thing though. Workshops. Players no longer gain EXP when crafting at public workshops. Another nerf. That should be, I don't know. I think you should get EXP whenever you craft, you're using your valuable materials. So right there in the balance, it's all nerfs, nothing exciting in my opinion, unfortunately. New automatically remove obstructions in camps. Rocks, small trees, and other objects no longer prevent players from building items in those locations. These obstructions can now automatically be removed upon constructing objects in the structures in camp, such as foundations. Placing an object to remove an obstruction and then removing that object will cause that obstruction to reappear after some time upon loading back in. This is a little confusing to me because I thought they were talking about a bulldozer feature, and we'll see. I don't think I skimmed through the patch notes. I didn't see anything about bulldozer. This seems to be their hacked in version of bulldozer. So essentially what happens is when you place a turret over a tree, the tree disappears and it lets you put the turret there, or a rock or anything like that. And then when you take that object away, the tree will come back, the rock will come back, and that sort of thing. But you cannot just manually go in and say, I want to scrap this tree for wood, I want to scrap this rock for concrete. You know, you can't do that. And that's what they were kind of promising. This seems to be a hacky fix or solution, which is unfortunate. New camp placement improvements. A notification will be displayed to a player upon logging into the world if their camp location is occupied by someone else. If they choose to remain in this world, they will be able to place their camp in a new location for free. Alternatively, if the player decides not to place their camp in a new location and instead joins a new world, their camp will automatically be placed back in its original location provided that the spot is unoccupied. They still haven't made it clear. This is something I'm gonna have to test in game myself, but essentially if I choose not to enter that world, is it gonna put me back in queue, or is it gonna kick me back out to the main menu where I have to find another one? I think honestly this should just be an option where I should be able to check a box that says never join a world that my camp is occupied in, and it'll just find me a server where I can play immediately rather than server hopping until I find my location. Oh well. Additional camp crafting and workshop updates. Camp the percentage of camp budgets that has been taken up by stored items and blueprints will now appear in the budget bar. There was a bug, people exploiting it to increase their budget. That's going to be fixed here, I guess. While in build mode, players can now toggle the left joystick on controllers or press Q in PC to switch between objects that can be built and those that cannot. The power produced by the windmill has been increased from 3 to 12. Players can now purchase Atomic Shop items directly from their workshop menu. Wow, you could already do it from your freaking map menu. Yeah, okay. Progression, new special respecking. Every time the player levels up after level 50, they can now choose whether to unlock a new perk or transfer one previously allocated special point from one category to another. This change is not retroactive for players that have already progressed beyond level 50, but will apply to every level up they achieve going forward. If a player chooses to relocate a special point on leveling up, they will be unable to select a perk card for that level and vice versa. Respecking details have also been added to the perks section of the in-game help menu. Oh yay. So you can basically slowly respec your character now, which is great news for those who feel like they made a few mistakes on their build. But doing a full respec would take you, probably up to 50 levels, depending on how much you're drastically changing it. It could be less if you're, staying with 8 charisma and you already have 9 or whatever, then yeah, it'll take you 8 levels less. Event quest, a 15-minute cooldown timer has been added to the end of each Enclave quest. EXP reward amounts have been reduced for the following quests: Fertile Soul, Collision Course, Tea Time, Guided Meditation. Well, you can see it all there. Basically, every single event in the game now gives less EXP. Oh my goodness. Additionally, the cooldown timer that begins after starting each of these events has been increased from 45 minutes to 1 hour and 12 minutes. So you can do them less often and they give less EXP. Now, what I'm getting from these patch notes in terms of fixes is Bethesda's trying to remove people from exploiting the game. They're trying to, reduce drops, make the game a little bit harder and more challenging, but they're making it harder and more challenging in the wrong ways. Reducing EXP, reducing drops, reducing. How about just making some harder enemies? Or we still need all that stuff. I don't know. It seems a little bit weird. User interface, new push-to-talk settings for PC. A push-to-talk setting has been added in voice chat test and set up to the caps lock key by default. The toggle always run hotkey, which used to be a caps lock, will now be moved to the / key by default. Both caps and / keys hotkeys can be rebound in the controls menu. I'm still curious to know, I like playing this game with a controller. Am I able to reach up and hit that caps lock key to still speak even though I'm holding a controller in my hands? You would think that both controls would be active simultaneously, so hopefully that's the case. New depth of field settings, a depth of field slider has been added and can be adjusted in the game's display settings menu. New field of view settings, a field of view slider has been added and can be adjusted in the game's menu settings. The field of view slider can be adjusted in increments of 5 to a maximum of 120 and a minimum of 70. Note, field of view will automatically be set to 70 while modifying a character's appearance, but can otherwise be set between the values mentioned above. New 21:9 resolution support. The game client can now automatically detect and apply the corresponding display resolution for monitors that use 21:9. Additionally, the various 21:9 resolutions can be selected in the game's display settings menu. The timer that disconnects players after a period of inactivity in game has been increased from 10 to 30 minutes, and the warning prompt will now display 3 minutes rather than 1 prior to being disconnected. Okay, for some reason I had thought that they were going to be nerfing this, but this is actually a good thing because, you spend all this time building up workshops, claiming workshops, gathering materials, and you want to stay on that server for as long as possible so you can continuously farm materials, and then all of a sudden you got to go answer the door, and you gotta talk to someone at the door for 5-10 minutes, and you come back and you've lost all your freaking workshops. So now that you can just sit there for 30 minutes, that's a good amount of time to stay on your servers. I like it. Atomic Shop items that have recently been added to the Atomic Shop now display a new icon, and new items will now sort to the front of their associated subsection. All the item subtitles in the Atomic Shop have been moved to the top of item images. Compass. Maximums have been implemented for each type of marker that can appear on the compass, and up to 60 markers in total can be visible at once. Up to 10 markers for each quest, location, hostiles, and enemies. Up to 8 for each neutral players and targeted enemies. Up to 4 markers for teammates. Players can still use their Pip-Boy to toggle tracking off for individual quests if they'd prefer to reduce the amount of quest markers in the compass and on screen. Bug fixes, stability, and performance. So bug fixes are going to be huge, guys. So performance: fixed an issue that could cause player to encounter an infinite load screen fast traveling. Addressed hitching that could occur during combat in nuke silos. Addressed an issue that could cause reduced performance and display a red text error upon viewing the map menu, perk screen, or a note. Address an issue that could cause hitching on a perk menu when sharing a perk card or unequipping a shared perk card. Address a performance issue on Xbox that could occur while traveling to the mire. Address an issue that could cause reduced performance after a Wendigo screams. Okay. Address a crash that could occur when accessing the transfer menu after picking up a power armor chassis. Address a crash that could occur if a team invite was automatically declined after not being accepted or rejected. You could see just so many hitching with so many minor menus and so many minor things. This stuff definitely should have been addressed at launch if they were able to tackle it this quickly. General achievements: winning the Monster Mash event by collecting most candy now correctly awards the associated achievement trophy for the console players. Killing the Scorched Beast Queen during Scorched Earth event now correctly awards the associated achievement trophy for console players. Completing the Breach and Clear event now correctly awards the associated achievement trophy for console players. Speaking of Scorched Beasts, I hope they fix something with the scaling, because if you're level 30 and you go spawn the Scorched Beast Queen, she's like level 50. If you're like level 200, she's like level 400 or something stupid, or at least her health skill. She's the equivalent of a level 400. She might still say level 95, but the health scales based off of the person to spawn the Scorched Beast Queen. So we had one time where we just murked her. We killed her successfully. And then another time we had a player that was super high level run in there first, and we were not able to kill the Scorched Beast Queen. So the level scaling needs to change, because you don't really get stronger after level 50. You've got your max perk cards. You're not gaining more health. You're not gaining more damage. You're just gaining perks. Your perk cards, like, you're not getting more powerful. So why does the game continue to scale after level 50? Makes no sense to me. Art and graphics, this is huge. A lot of stuff in here. Ghouls in the Vault Tech Architectural Research Center basements no longer hitch while playing their movement animations. Super mutants inside the Eastern Regional Penitentiary no longer hitch on walls while playing their movement animations. Fixed an issue causing vertibots and other cargo bots to exhibit odd movement behavior when landing. On consoles, objects built by player will no longer temporarily appear completely black on joining a world. Other players' character models will no longer display visual issues when loading screen completes after exiting a building. That would be the floating head player. I've seen that 1,000 times. Basically just shows somebody's head floating there and their body's gone. Fixed a visual issue that could cause wooden objects and structures to display blurry graphic effects. On PS4, flames and fire effects now render correctly and no longer only display smoke and embers. Fixed an issue on PS4 that could cause objects within building interiors to appear very dark. Fixed an issue that could cause shadow and lighting to flicker in some environments and inside certain buildings. Flamethrower traps no longer display dark hexagon objects while firing. Corrected a visual issue affecting smoke produced by cooling towers at the Thunder Mountain power plant. Modding combat armor after applying paint no longer prevents the paint from appearing. On Xbox One, visual artifacts will no longer appear in the upper corners of the screen while wearing power armor in the rain. Objects in the world will no longer appear to flicker while it is raining. The minigun barrel no longer appears particularly transparent while previewing it in the inspect menu. Being attacked while using a chainsaw no longer causes tunnel vision like graphic effect to appear on screen. The pitchfork flamer mod no longer displays a blocky green texture when previewing it in the weapons workbench. An extra bolt no longer appears when previewing crossbows in inspect, trade, or transfer menus. Fire, heated, and electrical visual effects now appear correctly when previewing weapons in the modify inspect menus. Wow. Camp, workshop, and crafting fixed an issue that could prevent a blueprint from being placed and caused a cannot place item, select item is floating error to display, even if the placement preview showed the intended location was valid. Fixed an issue that could prevent a blueprint from being placed without displaying an error message, even if the placement preview showed the intended location is valid. The placement preview for a blueprint that contains floating objects will no longer occasionally display a green outline despite being unplaceable. Attempt to place a blueprint by snapping it to an existing structure will no longer appear acceptable or allow placement if it would cause the object to overlap. Fix an issue that could allow creation of a blueprint that exceeds the blueprint budget. Fix an exploit that could enable unlimited item storage. That's a good thing because it was causing server instability. I don't like glitches, I don't like doing glitches, and I don't like cheating in the game. So I think that's a good thing. Doorways can now be correctly snapped to floors that are attached to stairs. The recent tab in the build menu will now correctly display objects that have recently been built. Fixed an issue that could allow players to unintentionally scrap their Pip-Boy. Oh my god. Stairs can no longer be placed in a way that causes them to clip through roof objects. Address an exploit that could cause items in the stored tab to become duplicated. Storing a variant of an object that the player has not yet learnt how to build will now cause that item to be converted to a variant that the player can build. If no variants have been learned, the stored item will be converted to its base version. That is one exploit that I did use for a couple different lights that I didn't use or didn't own to decorate my Christmas tree in my base. So I barely used it though. That's fine. Wind chimes can now correctly be attached to walls and camps. Workbenches, the list of available crafting materials at the power armor station now updates correctly upon modifying a suit of power armor. After powering up a power plant, power boxes at the plant now correctly produce 400 power, and power boxes at surrounding workshops produce 100 power. Car models no longer reappear after being removed by building an object on top of them. Enemies. Fix an issue that could cause enemies to remain stationary while they were out of combat. Bee swarms are no longer invisible. Honey Beast no longer drops more adhesive than intended and is now instead drop a stack of 1 to 2 adhesive on death. Mirelurk Queen. The Mirelurk Queen's acid attack no longer deals more damage than intended. I remember her just murking me. That's good. The Scorch Beast in the glass cavern can no longer fly through walls. Items. Fix an issue causing bobbleheads and magazines to spawn at lower rate than intended. These items should now appear 16% more often. Buying apparel from a vendor will now correctly add the item to the player's inventory. Fix an exploit affecting certain armor types that could allow players to gain unlimited carry capacity during a play session. Address several exploits that could allow players to gain caps more quickly than intended. Fix an issue that could allow 2 players to simultaneously activate the same suit of unowned power armor. It is no longer possible to transfer more than 1 fusion core into a suit of power armor. Serums now correctly apply mutations when consumed, and mutations applied in this way now correctly appear in the Pip-Boy's effect tab. Items that do not have a cap value can no longer be sold to vendors. Applying a precise stock mod to a pipe bolt action pistol no longer increases its rate of fire. Weapons attacking another player with a cryolator no longer drains their action points outside of mutual PvP. Fix an issue that could prevent plasma pistols from dealing damage. Projectile weapons no longer fire at the player's feet when aiming at a downward angle. Quests. Personal matters. Fix several issues that could prevent Avant from spawning correctly. An ounce of prevention. The T-type fuse quest marker now correctly appears above the container that contains the fuse. Additionally, an optional new objective has been added to help players find a way into Greg's mine supply. Chatline, this daily quest can no longer be repeated multiple times per day. Drop connection. Loot that is left behind by other players after completing this event is now correctly cleared when the event restarts. Events players can now correctly join events after fast traveling to a nearby location and walking into an active event area. Feed the People. Fix an issue in which completing the Feed the People event quest granted canned meat stew to all players on the server rather than only the quest's participants. The missing link. Collecting the upload link now correctly clears the retrieve the uplink quest step. Lying in the sand, waves of Scorch no longer walk into the walls of Fort Defiance when attempting to reach the Sonic Generator. Scorch Earth fixed an issue that could cause this event to be completed immediately after it began. Players who damage the Scorch Beast Queen will now correctly receive 2 military commendations when she is killed, even if they did not land the killing blow. I didn't see one here for the protest event. That thing still doesn't work for me. Perks. Critical Savvy no longer allows the player to use Critical Strike if the critical meter is not completely filled. Fix It Good. Bonus durability to armor is no longer suddenly lost after being hit a few times. That is great. Green Thumb. The double harvest benefit of this perk is no longer incorrectly applies to Mothman eggs. Heavy Gunner no longer incorrectly benefits the auto grenade launcher. Shotgun perks no longer incorrectly benefit the M79 grenade launcher. Strange in Numbers now correctly increases positive mutations by 25% rather than 50% when on a team with a player who has mutations that grants bonus to special stats. Weapon Artisan. Bonus durability added to a weapon is no longer suddenly lost after using the weapon a few times. Well, it's good to see those perks fixed, because some of those like Fix It Good really bothered me. Addressed an issue that could prevent high level weapons from dealing damage during PvP. Team PvP. When attacked by a player who is on a team, the target will now correctly enter mutual PvP with the entire team upon firing to any of the aggressor's teammates. If the target was also on a team, returning fire will begin mutual PvP between both teams. That's a good thing, because I've taken workshops and it's like turrets are just firing at me and not my friends. It's strange. Turrets will no longer fire another player who is attacked by the owner of those turrets outside of mutual PvP combat. Social. I'm hoping to see a lot of fixes here, because that stuff is still broken. Friends who have been blocked now remain visible in the friends list. This should help players unblock a friend who they have blocked accidentally. Oh boy. Friends who have been blocked or ignored will now display blocked or ignored tag next to their account name in the friends list. Friends status in the social menu will now correctly update to online, offline, or main menu. Thank goodness. Social menu. Players in the social menu are now correctly sorted first by those who are online in the same world, online in another world at the main menu, offline, ignored, blocked, and finally by alphabetical order. Players on PC who use controllers can now correctly access the search field found at the bottom of the social menu. Thank goodness. Oh my god, I was not able to add people because I use controller. Social menu. Players in the recent players list no longer display an online, offline, main menu status. Players will no longer placed into a team alone if the players they previously invited disconnects from the game. Attempting to accept a team invite right after the team's leader has left the team will no longer cause error message to display. Team members who exit the game will be removed from the team after logging back in. If the team leader disconnects in this way, another team member will become the new leader. That's good, because every time you always have to kick a non-existing player from your team. So that's great. Fixing an issue that could prevent team invites from being displayed to the player. Sound on Xbox. The game audio volume will no longer fluctuate when looking through the weapon scope. Holotapes. Choosing play upon finding a holotape in the world while using the Quick Boy version of the Pip-Boy will no longer prevent its voiceovers from playing. Oh my god, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have using Quick Boy, I would have been using Pip-Boy. That's what caused it. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's good. I've collected 1,000 holotapes in this game, and I haven't listened to a single one because it's all been static. It's so much for holotapes being the feature of this game. Sound effects on PS4. Wind sound effects at higher altitudes now fade out rather than ending abruptly. Playing a holotape while listening to the Appalachia radio no longer causes a delay when the radio transitions to the next song. User interface. Atomic Shop. Nobody cares about the Atomic Shop. And look at it all. We're gonna go straight down to challenges. The level up daily challenge no longer remains completed when challenges reset on a new day. Containers weight value no longer shifts slightly to the left when viewing the container inventory. Graphic setting addressed an issue that could not cause graphic settings to automatically default to low for some graphic cards despite being able to support higher settings. Hotkeys. Rebinding jump to a mouse button now correctly causes the search and modify repair prompts to display the updated hotkey. Keypads attempting to access a keypad being used by another player will now correctly display an error message stating that the keypad is in use. And then we have a bunch of localization bug fixes. Moving on, power armor, fast traveling with power armor that was purchased in the Atomic Shop no longer removes the Atomic Shop logo. Okay. Power armor, while wearing power armor and playing on the 21:9 aspect ratios on PC, raindrops and other effects now correctly extend to the edges of the screen. Quest tracker fixed an issue that could cause placeholder text to display to teammates in the quest tracker as the team leader progressed through the quest. Choosing a respawn at the nearest map marker no longer occasionally causes the player to encounter an infinite load screen, a black screen, or an error message. Fixed an issue on PC that could allow the game client visible area to extend beyond the bounds of the monitor. Melee attacks now correctly increase the critical meter. The notifications that appear when a player is prompted to retake previously owned workshops is no longer displays placeholder text. Boom. And then lastly, guys, leaving off with a message from their inside the vault thing. They say December 18th, we're still hoping to provide one more patch mid-December. As mentioned previously, this patch will continue our focus on stability and other concerns raised by the community. If we do move forward with this patch, it will be the last one of the year as we shift our focus towards updates we have planned for early 2019, which will include new game content, many additional bug fixes, and more changes based on your feedback. We're still determining the status of this update and we'll keep you posted in the date as the date approaches. All right, so let's talk about this overall. Starting off with that last little tidbit there, the new content will drop in 2019. Now it just goes to show that they spent the rest of November, all of December fixing their issues, hence why the beta should have ran for 3-4 months like everybody said. They could have fixed that stuff for launch. All this stuff is just made the game so much more frustrating. These fixes there's a lot of huge fixes, a huge list of bug fixes, exploits, all that stuff that would have made the game more enjoyable start to finish. The holotape's not working, like come on, that's the only NPC voice dialogue you have in the game, and I couldn't listen to a single one, and it's now I feel like I basically have to restart the game and kind of experience all those holotapes, even because I don't even know if they're worthwhile. So I'm hoping they're good because I'm gonna go back and I guess read them or listen to them all as I play a new character or something. So all that stuff should have been fixed. Going forward into 2019, they're talking about new game content. Now, they've been hinting at opening up vaults. I gotta say, if this new content is open up vaults and we go inside these vaults and it's just a bunch of dead people and then we listen to holotapes about what happened to them, I'm gonna be extremely, extremely disappointed. Bethesda needs to hold off on this opening up the vault idea and delay it till like mid next year. When they open up these vaults, they need to release NPCs into the world. There's so much backlash on this game and so many people hating on this game that if they said, you know what, we're going to spend 6 months to develop some NPCs, open up these vaults, and there's going to be other vault dwellers that are NPC driven and they're released into the world and they give you quests and they, all sorts of different things like that, and we attach a bunch of new quests to them and give you a whole load of interactions, that would be a game changer. And in terms of new content, what I think they need is operations. They need some sort of 4-player group operation where you can go, maybe the first one unlocks at level 15, then the heroic version of that unlocks at level 50. Once you're fully geared, you get a mythic version. All online co-op games have some sort of challenging co-op, and this game, when you hop online, you're like, what am I gonna do? I have some quests I could do, and your friend's like, I beat those ones, and he's like, I guess I can follow you around, and you're like, well, we could drop a nuke, but that's kind of pointless, so I guess we could go take some workshops over. Okay, let's do that. And then now we got the workshops, what do we do? Well, I guess we just explore around and collect stuff. Oh, but my stash box is full. You see the problems, and we can't build. Our build limit's full. So what do? You have operations. People log in and they go, let's go do that 4-man dungeon. New content drops. We added 3 more dungeons. If you have a whole cycle of 12 different dungeons, people are going to play those things constantly, and then they're going to move to higher difficulties. And then when new raids come out, then we can do that. This is what the game needs, in my opinion, going forward. And when they open these vaults, they better make it something grandiose, because the game needs these NPCs, so they just need to hold off on that idea you. I think it would be so good on their part to go, look, we made a mistake. We're opening up these vaults, and NPCs are going to be flooding into the world, and it'll have people clamoring back to this game. And so they need to just hold off on that idea. If these vaults open up yet again, and it's just a bunch of dead people and holotapes inside, I just like lose all hope in Bethesda because they got to fix some stuff. And in terms of the patch notes, guys, a lot of it was just like fixing exploits, fixing things that people have been finding, nerfing the crap out of good things like EXP. We're lowering this, lowering drops, lowering this, lowering that. Everything's been lowered, nerfed to the ground when they really need to be increasing difficulty, increasing challenge, and doing different things. They're fixing things backwards rather than saying, okay, we're gonna rebalance things. There's still guns that one-shot people. They didn't fix that. They're fixing the wrong things in some cases. They're just going about it in a strange way to me. Like, I don't care if the honeybees drop too much adhesive. What I need is the honeybees to be stronger. So I don't know. That's a lot of fixes, and good on Bethesda for doing this many fixes between the last update and this. I mean, good on them. That's a lot of stuff. So, you know, hats off to them. Another update coming in a couple weeks or so. We'll have to see what that brings. But holy moly, like, this video is almost 40 minutes. It's just going over patch notes. I've never, ever gone over patch notes for this long in my life. So definitely big improvements here, but is it enough? All this stuff doesn't have me coming back to the game. I think there's going to come a point where they fixed everything, and I'm going to have to sit down and say, I need to replay through the game from level 1 and re-enjoy the experience bug-free, with all the design and balances through the game and new content. And this new content better be good. Like really, really good, because at this point we've run out of things to do, and most of us have only played for about 100 hours. I still enjoy the game, I still want more from it, but if this was Fallout 4, I'd still feel like I haven't scratched the surface. Or in 76, I feel like I've done it all. So they need to add some extremely replayable content like operations. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. What is your favorite change in this whole update? What do you want to see improved for the game going forward? Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for me here today, guys. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on all Fallout 76 news, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye now.